Yes, it's been recorded. To keep the session clear and engaging, please keep your microphones muted and feel free to use the chat feature for any questions, and we will have time to address them in our Q&A session at the end of the meeting, of the webinar. We would also love to get you better. Therefore, if you feel comfortable, please introduce yourselves in the chat. Tell us your name, where you are joining us from, and what you are hoping to take away from today's webinar. So once again, thank you for joining us. And with that, let's take a quick look at our agenda. Can you all see my slides? I'm changing them.
Yes.
Yes, perfect, thank you. So today our webinar, we will cover the following topics. First of all, we will start with an overview of the Erasmus Plus program, the supportive and funding foundation behind this project. Next, we will talk about the MAAT project, its mission and objectives. MAAT stands for Mobilizing Gender for Youth for Gender Inclusive Cities, sorry. Then we will delve into some of the main obstacles to fostering youth participation and gender inclusion in urban spaces, as collected throughout the project, through our activities, roundtable discussions, policy workshops that we have done. And then we will explore some of the best practices, again, collected throughout the project. Successful strategies to overcome these obstacles that we will be presenting earlier. And finally, we will share the lessons learned from our MAAT project. Before we proceed on with the Q&A session to respond to any questions you may have and evaluate our today's webinar. So let's begin by introducing the Erasmus program. Erasmus Plus is a European Union initiative that supports education, training, youth, and sports across the 2021-2027 period. This program seeks to empower people of all ages with the skills they need to fully participate in democratic society, foster cultural understanding, and successfully transition to the workforce. Erasmus Plus stands out for its commitment to inclusion, green practices, digital skills, and fostering innovation. By offering opportunities for mobility and partnerships, Erasmus Plus contributes to high-quality education and social cohesion, ensuring that no one is left behind. Now, the objectives and opportunities gained from the Erasmus Plus program. First of all, supports for lifelong learning. Erasmus Plus promotes lifelong learning as a means to achieve sustainable growth, quality jobs, and innovation. By enhancing personal and professional development, it contributes to a shared European identity. Secondly, mobility and cooperation. The program fosters learning mobility, allowing students, educators, and youth professionals to grow by working together across borders within the European Union and beyond. Broad participation. Erasmus Plus is inclusive, open to both individuals and organizations across various sectors, from higher education and vocational training to youth and sports. Finally, financial support. Erasmus Plus provides funding opportunities for organizations involved in education and training, enabling them to lead impactful projects that benefit entire communities. These objectives are what constitute the Erasmus Plus a powerful driver for educational and social change. Now, we will move on to talk about the MAAT project, which is also the focus of our discussion and why we are all here today. The MAAT project, as said earlier, stands for Mobilizing Youth for Gender Inclusive Cities. The project aims to tackle an essential question: how can we make our urban spaces more accessible and welcoming for everyone, regardless of gender background? As we dive deeper into the topic of gender and urban spaces, it's essential to understand how women experience cities differently compared to men, first of all. This difference is largely shaped by traditional gender roles, particularly the roles women often play as caregivers, whether caring for children, elderly relatives, or those who are ill. Women, for example, tend to use childcare, healthcare infrastructures, and schools much more frequently than men do. This automatically means they spend more time in these spaces, and consequently, more time on public transportation, traveling to and from them. They also make more stops in their daily travels, having multiple responsibilities. But the difference in experience don't stop there. Women are, unfortunately, primary targets of sexual violence and harassment in public spaces, including public transport and streets, starting from a very young age, unfortunately. This is not only a question of personal safety, but also a major barrier to women's freedom to move about and fully participate in public life. Moreover, these challenges are intensified for women who also belong to other marginalized or underrepresented groups. For instance, experiencing racism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, and age discrimination can further limit their access to safe and inclusive public spaces. The intersection of gender and these additional forms of discrimination makes the issue even more complex and urgent. With these perspectives in mind, we must ask ourselves, are our cities as inclusive as they should be? As project and the consortium implementing this project, our vision for the 21st century must include cities that are equitable and accessible to all and inclusive. As emerging leaders and decision makers, youth, the next generation, and a lot of us that are here today hold the power to shape urban spaces into thriving, inclusive environments. Youth are the architects of tomorrow, and with that comes a responsibility to foster safe, fair, and welcoming societies for everyone. So now, let's look at how the MAAT project is working to make this vision a reality. The objectives that we have set in implementing the MAAT project are four. First of all, evidence-based urban policy. We promote urban policy making that reflects the real needs of the community, especially women, through an intersectional gender perspective. Secondly, youth development. MAAT aims to support the growth of young people who think globally but act locally, shaping gender inclusive cities. Third objective of the project is to foster and enhance digital transformation. The project encourages digital transformation within youth organizations, fostering creativity, innovation, and quality in youth education and in the youth sector in general. Finally, the fourth objective of the project is to raise awareness. MAAT aims to shed light on how urban planning can either reinforce or reduce gender inequalities. Since most of the times when we speak about gender inequalities, we don't look at the urban infrastructures, the urban planning, and the general urban sphere. we often overlook that, and this is where MAAT steps in to make this visible. Altogether, these objectives help equip young people with the tools they need to build more inclusive cities. Now, let's delve to the main obstacles in youth participation. As we enter the third part of our agenda, we will be discussing the main obstacles to effectively implementing youth participation strategies in urban spaces. This section will help us understand the challenges young people face and where targeted solutions are needed. We will focus on 4 specific areas where these obstacles are most evident. First one is co-creation and co-management with youth. Secondly, digital participation. Third, deliberative participation. And finally, youth activism and movements. Each of these areas presents unique challenges, which we will explore in more detail on the following slides. Let's begin by discussing some of the challenges we face in fostering co-creation and co-management in youth participation. Co-creation and co-management are essential because they allow young people to take active roles in shaping initiatives that impact their lives and communities. However, it has been stressed that when trying to keep youth engaged throughout these processes, several obstacles are encountered. First of all, constant engagement. While initial recruitment efforts are often successful, maintaining consistent participation can sometimes be challenging. Interest tends to drop off as the process continues, especially if the content isn't engaging or if participants don't feel meaningfully involved. Second one, lack of awareness. Many young people don't have the tools or information to identify their needs and priorities. This lack of awareness can limit their ability to advocate for themselves and fully participate in the process. Then we have overwhelm and fear of failure. With so many opportunities and information available, it's easy for young people to feel overwhelmed. This abundance can sometimes lead to disengagement, as they may worry about making their own choices or fear failure. Then, safe spaces. The absence of safe and inclusive environments is another barrier faced by youth. When they don't feel they can express themselves openly without judgment and without the fear of being marginalized or excluded, participation can feel daunting and overwhelming. Prejudice. Young people often face prejudice based on their age, perceived knowledge, and abilities. This can create feelings of inadequacy and prevent them from contributing meaningfully. Then, the lack of support. Many young people lack access to mentorship and guidance, which makes it harder for them to navigate and engage in co-management opportunities effectively. Without this support, they may be unaware of available participation opportunities. Finally, mental health. Self-doubt and mental health challenges are significant obstacles that have been stressed throughout the activities and the interaction we had with the youth and activists. These issues can make it difficult for young people to feel confident in their abilities and maintain a sense of motivation and commitment to the process. Now, I would like to ask at this point, is everyone following okay? Do you have any questions? Do you have anything you would like to add? Say anything, feel free to drop it in the comment section, in the messaging, in the chat room, and we will address everything towards the end. Our next area of focus is digital participation, where young people increasingly engage with their communities, share ideas, and advocate for change. While digital spaces offer vast potential, there are significant obstacles that can make meaningful engagement challenging. With countless digital platforms and a continuous stream of content, information overload is a common problem we see. Young people can find it difficult to engage meaningfully when faced with so many options and information, as they may struggle to focus on one platform or even on one specific issue they want to address or they want to participate. The algorithmic impact is a challenge too. Social media algorithms designed to prioritize popular content often limit the reach and visibility of smaller or newer participation efforts. This can discourage young people who may feel their voices are drowned out or unseen. This is something we have seen also with the way algorithm works in the social media. We have seen recently with the Palestine-Israel conflict that a lot of times posts or campaigns supporting the Palestinian cause are being voiced out or are being hidden or are not so widely being exposed to the people, which is how algorithms work or how they are trying to voice out some certain causes also, which is something which came out also from the interaction with activists we had. Then we have resource intensive. Effective digital engagement requires substantial time, effort, and resources. Producing high-quality content that captures attention involves skills, tools, and time that not all young people or organizations have easy access to. Misinformation is always, and in our times especially, is exacerbating. The internet has no shortage of biased or inaccurate information. This misinformation can mislead young people or discourage participation by creating confusion over what's true and what isn't, which undermines clear and fact-based discussions, or can even drive the popular voices towards a false cause, let's say, or a false or wrong misinterpretations. Tech limitations. Many digital tools, whether social media platforms or programming resources, come with internet biases. It can be challenging to adapt these tools to meet the diverse needs of a community, especially when they weren't designed with inclusivity in mind. Now let's turn to deliberative participation, a type of engagement where young people are directly involved in decision-making processes. This is an area with immense potential for youth to influence our communities, but it also comes with specific challenges, as also with the others that we have stressed out. First one is civic disengagement. One of the primary barriers is lack of strong civic consciousness. Without a sense of civic duty or connection to community issues, young people may feel disinterested or disconnected from participating in these processes. Stigma also is a problem, it's a challenge. Youth participation and civic engagement can carry a negative stigma. Many young people may feel discouraged from engaging due to stereotypes or attitudes that suggest they lack the knowledge or seriousness needed for public decision-making and public participation in the commons. In experience, even when young people are interested, they often feel uncertain or inexperienced when it comes to participating in structured decision-making. The lack of familiarity with the processes can make participation feel intimidating or overwhelming. Lack of trust, finally. Many young people don't feel that their voices will truly impact decisions. This lack of trust in the processes or in the decision makers or in the policy or in the people like promoting policies can lead to a sense of futility. Why engage if it feels like the decisions are already made or that youth perspectives won't genuinely influence the outcome? This is not only a matter of youth, it's a matter of the general population, of the whole of the society, but especially in youth, we see it more often. Last but not least, regarding the challenges, is youth activism and movements. Activism is a powerful way for young people to advocate for change, but there are key barriers that can discourage sustained involvement. Many young people lack a strong understanding of civic duties, rights, and responsibilities. Without a sense of civic consciousness, it can be challenging to motivate young people to engage actively in movements or advocate for change. Also here, stigma and fear is a problem, is a challenge. Activism often carries social or legal risks, and youth may fear judgment from their communities or from their family members even, or face legal repercussions. This fear can deter them from participating, especially in environments where activism even isn't widely accepted, or where police repression can be very harsh sometimes. Inefficiency of traditional activism. The perceived inefficiency of traditional activism methods, like protests, marches, can also discourage youth. If these methods seem ineffective or outdated, young people may feel their actions won't lead to real change, diminishing their confidence and participation. Last but not least, motivation. Activism can be a long and challenging journey, and the lack of immediate results or the presence of bureaucratic obstacles can stop motivation. When progress feels slow or obstacles seem overwhelming, it can be hard for young people to stay engaged. These challenges we have stressed in these 4 different categories, as said, have been collected and analyzed through the project activities, highlight the need for strategies that make youth participation, activism, or online or physical, more accessible, safe, and beneficial for youth. By addressing these barriers, we can help young people feel empowered to advocate for change and sustain their engagement in movements that matter to them and for causes that are essential for them and for their communities. Therefore, now that we have explored the main challenges in youth participation, we are going to shift our focus to best practices. This session will look at successful strategies that address and overcome these obstacles, allowing for more effective and inclusive youth engagement. Again, we will be discussing and we will be analyzing these best practices in the same categories we used for the challenges earlier: co-creation and co-management, digital participation, deliberative participation, and finally youth activism and movements. By analyzing specific strategies within each area, we can better understand what's working in youth participation and how these methods can inspire new approaches. These best practices are essential in fostering an environment where young people feel encouraged, supported, and empowered to take active roles in shaping their communities. Let's dive in and see how each of these areas can be transformed into opportunities for growth and meaningful engagement. Let me drink some water, sorry. First one, let's begin with co-creation and co-management, a collaborative approach where young people work alongside decision makers to shape projects and policies. Overcoming the challenges we've discussed requires specific strategies that foster trust, inclusivity, and meaningful engagement. Here are some of the best practices. Civic education and engagement. In order to address the civic disengagement that we have explored earlier, it's essential to focus on building civic consciousness through education. Education is always the most important, powerful weapon we can have and spread out. Providing young people with the knowledge and skills to engage with their communities fosters a sense of responsibility and can help them see the value of their participation and give them extra motivation and extra boost in order to continue for what they believe in. Changing perceptions. In order to combat stigma, we need to actively work to challenge and change negative perceptions of youth participation. This involves highlighting the strengths and fresh perspectives young people bring to decision making and demonstrating that their voices are not only welcome, but they are essential. Third, mentorship and skill building. In order to overcome inexperience, mentorship programs can be incredibly effective. Pairing young people with experienced mentors who can guide them through decision-making processes builds confidence and equips them with the tools needed to engage meaningfully. Finally, how to combat lack of trust through inclusive decision-making. It's crucial to create inclusive spaces where youth feel their voices genuinely matter. Transparent communication and active listening ensure young people that their participation is valued and that decisions are being made collaboratively, not in isolation. Moving on to digital participation, let's explore some of the best practices that can help overcome the challenges we face in this area. The digital spaces offers endless opportunities for youth engagement, but it also requires careful strategies to ensure meaningful and impactful participation. Here are some key approaches. Targeted content. One of the key obstacles in digital participation is the overwhelming amount of content available online. To combat this, we need to focus on creating high quality, relevant content that resonates deeply with our target audience. By prioritizing quality over quantity, we can engage youth more effectively, ensuring that the content they encounter is valuable and impactful, rather than overwhelming them with an overload of information. Adapting to algorithms. Social media algorithms play a huge role in visibility and engagement, as we have seen earlier. By staying informed how these algorithms work and the preferences of our audience, we can adapt our content to maintain visibility and reach. This means crafting content that aligns with the audience is engaging with, ensuring it stays relevant and reaches as many young people as possible. I can say here, sometimes working smart and not hard, it's much more efficient. Combating misinformation. Misinformation is rampant online, and youth are often exposed to a mix of credible and false information. To tackle this challenge, we need to invest in digital literacy programs that teach young people how to critically evaluate the information they encounter. This empowers them to discern credible sources from unreliable ones, encouraging fact-based participation and fostering informed discussions. Then we have bias testing. Finally, it's important to regularly test and adapt digital tools to ensure they are free from biases and inclusive of diverse needs. Whether it's social media platforms or other tools we use to engage youth, making sure these platforms don't unintentionally exclude or marginalize certain groups is essential for promoting equitable digital participation. Especially nowadays, with the exacerbation of AI-made content, it's very important to make bias testings when we read something online. Deliberative participation focuses on engaging youth in meaningful discussions and decision-making processes. This is an area which, if approached critically, can create inclusive democratic spaces where young people's voices can influence policies and actions. Some of the best practices that can overcome the aforementioned challenges are, first of all, civic education. One of the first steps is to foster civic consciousness through education. This means teaching young people about the importance of civic engagement and community participation. By providing with tools to understand how decision-making works, we can empower them to actively engage in their communities, fostering a sense of responsibility and deeper connection to the democratic processes. Mentorship programs are a powerful way to build the confidence and experience young people need to participate in deliberative processes. Having experienced mentors guide them through decision-making scenarios helps youth develop their skills and prepares them for leadership roles. This creates a sense of ownership and ensures that young people are equipped to engage effectively in deliberative dialogues. Advocacy is key also in ensuring that young people's voices are heard and valued in decision-making. Youth advocacy specifically involves pushing for the inclusion of young people in discussions that affect them, whether it's at the local, national, or global level. By advocating for youth inclusion, we ensure that policies and decisions are more representative and responsive to the needs of young people. Finally, in order to build trust and facilitate effective participation, we must use clear, accessible communication. Often, the language used in deliberative processes can be complex or exclusionary. By simplifying language and breaking down processes, we make these discussions more approachable for youth, helping them feel comfortable contributing their ideas and perspectives. Now let's dive into best practices we have come up regarding youth activism and movements. An area that is especially critical in empowering young people to take action for change. While activism often faces numerous barriers that we have seen earlier, there are successful strategies we can adapt to overcome them and increase the impact of youth-led social movements. First of all, it's important to connect activism with local groups. One powerful way to amplify youth activism is to encourage collaboration with existing visible movements. For example, youth activists can align with larger, well-established groups focused on environmental protection, human rights, or social justice. By joining forces with these groups, youth can increase their visibility and broaden their impact of their efforts. This provides a platform for their voices and helps drive more widespread. Being intersectional and collaborating and making alliances with other social movements, maybe of a different cause, but to similar ideology and similar perspectives, is always beneficial. Then promoting real-life activism. While digital platforms are an essential tool for mobilization, we must emphasize the importance of real-life activism. Organizing marches, protests, community outreach, or even engaging in local policy discussions. Digital activism that is exacerbating and is being enhanced in our days, it's a great starting point, but it's always the tangible offline actions that can create lasting impact and foster real-world change. Social media, however, can still play a key role in amplifying these efforts and creating a network of support for these offline actions. Therefore, a combination of online and offline activism, one supporting each other, it's the best combination. Support systems are vital in sustaining youth activism. Young people often face significant emotional and physical challenges when advocating for change. By establishing support networks, whether through mentorship, peer groups, or mental health resources, we help activists navigate the difficulties of the journey. These systems not only boost motivation, but also help prevent burnout and mental exhaustion, ensuring that youth can continue their activism in the long term. Last but not least, highlighting success stories. It's important to highlight and celebrate successful activism. Young people often face slow progress and discouragement when seeing the pace of change. By showing success stories or putting concrete milestones, we can inspire and motivate activists to keep pushing forward, showing them that their efforts do lead to results, even if those results take time. These stories also help to build a sense of community and reinforce the power of youth activism in creating change. Through these strategies, we can empower youth to become leaders in their community and social movements, making their activism and participation more impactful, sustainable, and meaningful. Let's move on to the next session of our agenda today, where we'll share the lessons learned from the MAAT project. This will be followed by an introduction also to the MAAT toolkit that, together with the rest of the consortium, we have developed, which captures these lessons and provide practical tools for fostering inclusive, gender-responsive urban spaces. Firstly, engaging youth consistently is crucial. Early excitement can fade if participation is not sustained through engaging content and meaningful involvement. Therefore, the first key takeaway that we can say we must keep from the MAAT project, it is essential to create interactive, relevant experiences for young people to keep their interest alive. Another important lesson is the need for inclusive and safe spaces. Youth need environments where they feel their voices matter, free from judgment or prejudice. The lack of such spaces can significantly hinder participation, particularly for marginalized or underrepresented groups. We also found and made clear that youth awareness of their rights and opportunities for engagement can be limited. Helping young people understand their power and providing them with the tools to express their needs is key to fostering active involvement. Last takeaway from the MAAT project and from the lessons and challenges explored, it's mentorship and guidance. Many young people, especially in marginalized communities, lack the support systems needed to navigate opportunities and develop the confidence to participate in decision making. These lessons are also the foundation for how we move forward and improve future youth participation efforts. And they are at the core of the MAAT toolkit that we'll be exploring straight away. As you can see in the slide shown, these are the 5 different toolkits we have developed. These 5 toolkits are designed to help organizations and youth-led initiatives overcome challenges and enhance participation in urban spaces. This will be also made public and available in the MAAT project website anytime soon. First one, we have the co-creation and co-management with youth, interactive workshop toolkit. This toolkit specifically provides practical guidance for organizing workshops that actively involve youth in decision making and co-designing solutions for their communities. Then, digital participation among youth, youth-led digital campaigns toolkit. With this toolkit, youth can learn how to design and implement digital campaigns that engage peers online, amplifying their voices and initiatives through social media and other digital platforms. Third toolkit is a deliberative participation among youth, Youth Advisory Council toolkit. This empowers youth to form advisory councils, providing a structured way for them to have a direct impact on decision-making processes in their communities and organizations. Toolkit number 4, mapping of resources and development tools. Toolkit for national working groups. This is designed for organizations working at national level, which helps identify and map resources, stakeholders, and development tools, fostering collaboration and better project implementation. Finally, the 5th toolkit is youth activism and youth movements, intersectional activism toolkit. It's focused on intersectional activism, offers guidance on how youth can engage in movements that tackle issues such as gender, inequality, racism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination, fostering inclusive activism. These toolkits, all of them, have been designed with a purpose to equip youth with the knowledge and resources to become active participants and be, in very briefly, they are manual when they want basically to form a campaign or act for a certain cause they are interested or they care about. Whether you are working with youth in urban planning, digital initiatives, or activism, these resources are essential and are very helpful for creating meaningful change. We have now finally reached the final part of our webinar, the Q&A session. I would love to hear your thoughts, questions, or any reflections you might have about the topics we have today, what we have discussed, what we have analyzed, or anything regarding the MAAT project. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat or pop in and say them out loud, and I will do my best to address as many as possible. If you have specific queries about the MAAT project, the toolkits, or any other of the challenges and best practices we discussed, this is your chance to ask. Before though, as we are near the end of our webinar, I will kindly ask you to take a few minutes to complete our evaluation form. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to us and will help improve our future sessions, our future projects, and our future activities we will be implementing. Please scan this QR code, and would appreciate if you could fill it out before you leave, since most of the times afterwards, due to workload or busy day, we might forget. Please know that in the evaluation form, you will be asked to write your email address. Since I will be following up with an email afterwards, sharing with you your certificate of participation. Your insights to this evaluation form will be instrumental in making sure to meet the needs of participants like you in future events. Please feel free to, I will give 2-3 minutes, maybe if you have any questions you would like to write or ask. Now it's a time. I'm going back to the evaluation QR code so you can scan it and fill it up. So finally, since as I guess we don't have any questions, I would like to take a moment to thank each of you for your time and participation today. It's been an honor to share the MAAT project with you, and I hope you found the information and discussion valuable. Special thanks also to our participants from Italy, from which they are also part of the consortium and have joined us in today's discussion. Thank you very much. They will be also implementing their international webinar next week on Wednesday. Maybe if any one of you would like to share more information about it, if any of our Cypriot participants would be interested in joining us, I will be also sharing with you information on the flyer of their event and the link you can register. It will be a very interesting webinar discussing about Rome specifically. Maybe Laria, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, if you want, I can share in the chat the webinar post. So they already have the agenda and the link to register to the event if they want to, and the link to the webinar, if it's okay for you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, feel free to share anything. I will be also, when I will be sending each one of the participants today the certificate of participation, I will be attaching also the registration link and the flyer to your event.
Okay, thank you.
So once again, thank you. And I look forward to seeing the impact of your contributions in fostering gender inclusive urban spaces. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. And
Thank you.
Keep on fighting for your rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Elias. Bye.
Actually, I was trying to send the webinar post in the chat, but I think I'm not allowed it. So if you
It's
just
okay. I
could...
will be sharing it with
Okay,
the emails
okay.
privately, so it's still the
Okay.
same.
Thank you. Thank you for the
your
webinar.
participation.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. See you next week. Bye.